Oh
Kim
my
being
gosh.
the first female sensei in Cobra Kai, I want to ask you, what was the most important part regarding her legacy as the show comes to an end? Like, what do you hope she added to the legacy of the show?
I think most of all, because I felt like she was such an empowering character for the audience, especially for female audience, and that she was herself leaving the franchise in an empowered position because she was sort of following other people's agendas for a little while, and it was very much influenced by her family and tradition and grandfather, and then her menteeship relationship with Kreese. So I think what I wanted for her was to really end the story empowered, strong, and really standing alone. And I think her legacy of, I mean, being the only female sensei or being, that one bit of female representation in that position of power, I think that that's like the most important thing to me. I hope that the audience can feel that from her. That's my reaction. That's my reaction to we can talk about spoilers.
I got you. I watched the episodes. How could I not let you talk about spoilers with that ending?
I
Like, come on.
know. I need to talk about Grampy.
Oh, well, that is my next question. Obviously, that decision was not an easy one. It was very difficult for her. But can you tell
No,
me about
no.
getting in that headspace for that moment when she does kill him and that fight sequence?
I think that she's really she realizes that there is no other way. There's no other way forward. And in a really sort of twisted angle to their relationship, he wants her to do it. He set her up for that. That's the reason why he's sort of orchestrated this whole training right up to this moment. And for me, emotionally, it sort of lessened the severity of what she did by receiving for the first time in her life this word of praise from him. He says 완벽해, which means perfect. And I don't think he's ever told her that before in her life. And so that felt very full circle in a very twisted Korean family feud way. But it's very difficult to try to get into that headspace. And she knows that it's going to end. Something is going to end in a catastrophic way. You can feel that emotion all throughout that episode. And as for the fight scene, that was really intense. I mean, we're in a really tight space there. The hut is tiny, and you've got camera crew in there. We have a stunt double for CS, and I did fight with CS as well. And so and also Grandpa is swinging this massive stick. So there's a lot of components there that can make it quite dangerous. But yeah, we were able to do it. It was thrilling. And definitely a culmination for her, like such a moment. I remember on one take when we do the final move, I let out this giant scream, and it shocked me, I think, as much as anyone else. It was such a release. Um, that was a really cool fight scene. So I got really lucky this season and got some great fight
You
scenes.
did. I think one of the things that stood out to me about the shift from obviously part two to part three is I feel like Quan's death did affect Kim in a way. Can you tell me
Hugely.
about that? Yeah, can you tell me about that? Why it was so effective to her and what you think that kind of shifted for her?
Yeah, because we have this moment when we are discussing, when Kreese is asking her, what about his family? And it's very deep when she says, like, he doesn't have a family. He's been with us since he was a boy. We've taken care of him, and he has grown up here, and he's a part of the family. And you can push your students to the end, and you can get them to break their hand, and you can do whatever you want. But when someone dies, it's a whole other level of serious, and it really shakes her to the foundation and sets her on a different path. And I think it's almost the catalyst for the redemption for her. I mean, we see bits of it, obviously, with her connection with Chosen, and even I would say moments with Tory. I think weirdly she does have such an affinity and a weird affection for her as well. So she does connect with people here and there. But Kwan's death really is the catalyst for her redemption.
I'm glad you mentioned Tori in particular because that was a relationship I wanted to ask you about because like you said, it is this kind of strange affection. And towards the end of part two, we got that scene where, she was saying, is it worth it? is all this
Yeah.
shit. And even just her giving her advice about Robbie being like, all that hurt, all that heartbreak, everything, like put it into the fight. It's very interesting to see the parallels there. What was that like to bring to life with Peyton? And did you have any conversations regarding that?
Yeah, I think strangely the characters are quite similar. I
They
think
are.
when life deals you a hard blow, you have a choice to either soften or harden, and they both react instinctively the same way, which is to armor up, get really tough, and not let anybody in. So I think, Kim having that life experience and knowing that admits that she can see that affinity with Tory. And that moment when she does ask her if it's worth it, that's somebody, I think, for the first time voicing those questions to her that undoubtedly she's had sort of in the privacy of her own room with no one listening. I think she's definitely ruminated over that herself. And she definitely lies when she when she gives her answer. That was a very clear choice. She definitely lies. She didn't want to lose face. Um, yeah, but there's something really moving about her seeing herself in Tori. And then with Pei, we just I don't know, we're so plugged into like the difference between Kim and Tori and Ali and Peyton. You know what I mean? Like it's so different. So no, we didn't discuss it a lot. I think we just kind of trust each other to go at it in the scene. We both instinctively understand the dynamic between them too. It's a very complicated teacher-student female relationship. It's one of expectation and blackmail and abuse in a way, and then just strangely this understanding.
Yeah. And they're such strong characters, strong female characters, which
Such
is so
strong
nice
female
to see.
characters.
But it's so interesting because they are both so strong in their own way. And to see them kind of mesh was very interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't think, you would never think that they would have this moment at the Sekai Tekai where they're just sort of facing off against these boys that they're having problems with and just kind of like karate pep talk each other up, like that's funny. Like in the world, in a way, that's like the Cobra Kai equivalent of sending a supportive reel to your friend before they go into battle. Like I just sent you like 10 reels in like, girl code. I was hyping her, but we were also like still plugged into Cobra Kai world.
One of my favorite moments was her realizing that she is not her grandfather and that she can lead the
Yeah,
dojo her way. I think that was just such a beautiful way to end her arc because there are
yeah,
endings sometimes that you don't feel are full circle or feel are complete. And this one felt just perfect. So, what did that conclusion mean to you to get that happy ending in a way? Even though it's twisted,
yeah.
there's layers to it, she does get her happy ending. She comes into herself.
Yeah, she gets her happy ending, and I think in like true Sensei Kim form, she has to fight for it and win it and sacrifice something to get her happy ending. Like I don't think happy endings come to you naturally. She had to put in a lot of effort to find her peace and to find her way. Um, I think I was really content to see her break a cycle of abuse. I think it's very Korean to solve your generational trauma in your family fight. Like it's very Korean. But I love that last moment of her, and she's back in her groove. She's with her dojang and she's leading it her own way. And you see, she still has that authority, but it's a little softer, like they wanted her to be more encouraging. And I like that because nobody needs an abusive teacher. Um, yeah, it feels really hard won and hard fought for. So I'm happy for her.
And that wasn't even the full ending because she got a little surprise when from Chosen at the end. Tell me about that and how
I
it
mean,
have that for her. Not that she
well, she's
needed it, but
unforgettable, obviously. He had to come all the way to Korea because he just couldn't get it off his mind. So understandable, like she's amazing. Um, yeah, no, it wasn't written in the beginning. Like I didn't know that that would be her ending. Like at the beginning when they were like, "This is what your arc is going to be for the season," I was like, "Oh, great!" But they left out conveniently. That was added later on, as the season progressed, and I think it just kind of really made sense for those two characters. Um, it was just really sweet. It was so cute to shoot with Yuji, and Everything with Chosen and with Kim is very, it's almost like kids. Like they're both so not used to expressing like the soft side of themselves. And so when he shows up there and she had no idea he was going to come there, and they have this very like sweet moment where she does, I think it's actually the first time that I do smile in the series.
I
I
was
don't
just
think
gonna
I
say to you, you had such like
smile
a
ever.
genuine smile on your face in that scene, and it was just like
Yeah.
sweet and like soft. And I was like,
It's such a rom-com moment. You know, like rom-coms when they run through the airport and they're like, oh my, like that's their rom-com moment.
yeah,
And so it's kind of hard not to be like swept along in the romance of just like we're out in the in the hut, and you see the trees and there's a bit of mist, and then Chosen comes out with his bag. And it's kind of hard not to like get swept away in the romance of that. Like that's their little Notting Hill moment. It's super cute.
it's adorable. And if everyone else is
Yeah.
in the romance, why isn't Kim? Come on. Like that was,
True, true, true.
come on. We gotta go big or go home, guys.
Yeah, it was really sweet. I thought it was really sweet. And I love that she didn't have to uproot her life, like he came to her. You know,
So good.
he's a modern boy. He
Yeah.
knows. He's
Yeah.
there.
I love it. And one of the other
Yeah.
dynamics I have to ask you about was working with Martin for the Kreese and Kim dynamic, because I thought that
Yeah.
specifically for this last season was very interesting. And in part three, especially because, he was the one that kind of helped her realize her power, I feel like, in a lot of ways, and come to terms with what she had to do. What was it like to work with him on that dynamic and those scenes in particular?
Working with Marty and working with Kreese, I think that there's a lot of goodwill there and a lot of history, and they have a sort of, this mentee mentor relationship. And so I was really looking forward to it because in season 5, she'd come to America looking for her old friend, John Kreese, and got Terry Silver instead. And so that sort of went awry. And then so in 6, we get this like long awaited team up and we get to see what their dynamic is together. And I think underlying a lot of our scenes in part 1 is yes, we're catching up and I'm showing you what's going on here, but there's also a little bit of reticence on my part because he's very gung-ho about getting in there, and much stronger even than I am, with my students. And then having that unravel and unfold in part 2, which culminates in the death of Quan. I mean, it shakes Kreese as much as it shakes
Yeah.
Kim Da-Eun. So yeah, and then part 3, we're really dealing with the fallout and the ramifications of that. And then also that fallout is also the fallout of our relationship with each other and our friendship. And he has this, yeah, he actually has this really great line where it's time for old men like me to step aside. And
Yeah.
he acknowledges that his way, it's not the way, and I'm very much seeing that what I was taught and what I idolized as a child is not the path to goodness. It's not that it may be the path maybe to success, but it's success at all costs, which is ultimately bad. And I think that, my character figures out a way to follow and seek the same results, just with a more sort of varied approach. She just workshopped it. She just workshopped the Cobra Kai creed of no mercy with like a touch of mercy, but strike hard. That she just rebranded. Yeah.
We need a rebrand and we need her front and center
Yeah.
in that dojo. Come on.
Yeah. She needs to, it's a female founded business now. And yeah, it's just a little softer, a little more forgiving, which is always a good quality.
And one of the big things about the Sakai Taikai, did I say that right? Do we do it on
Yes,
the
no
first try?
one, I feel like no one pronounces it the same way. Like
I
every
was
day on set,
determined. I'm like, I am gonna get it right.
every day on set, I was like, is that how we're saying it? Who's saying it right? Am I saying it wrong?
There were so many twists, I feel like, from obviously Robbie's injury to Quan's death to just the matches and Sam dropping out. There was so much for each fight. Did you have a twist that surprised you the most when you were reading the scripts?
I look, the biggest twist is I didn't expect Quan to die. That really shocked me when I read it because our world, the world of Cobra Kai, it's not. it's violent within reason, you know, and
Yes.
when we got that very real life consequence and the loss of that character, we're like, oh, okay, we're stepping into new territory. I think in part three specifically, the twist that really hit hard for me was Billy's scene with Marty when he brings up that Kreese abandoned him and threw him away like trash, and Billy's performance is so touching and beautiful,
Sobbing.
and I cried. It was just, it
Sobbing.
was so, it came from such a real place, and there's something powerful about watching two men talk about their conflict and talk about their hurt in an honest way. I mean, it was so moving. It's not really a twist, but it was very moving to me. It came from such a beautiful place, and to watch them on some level resolve it or just put it to bed was, I don't know, it was very healing to me. I was so moved by that moment.
Audiences aren't
Billy was
ready.
wonderful.
I was not
They
ready.
are, you guys are not
I
ready.
was
You're
not
not ready.
ready. The amount of tears and
Neither was I. My reaction was just like, I was sitting there and just like sobbing. I'm like, Billy, a beautiful performance. Yeah, I was shook by it, and just, I was just yelling at my TV. I was like, give that man an Emmy. He's so good. Like,
when you look back at the experience, the fans that you've, gotten from the show, the family you've made, just everything about it, the work. What has been the most rewarding part of it for you? Like, what is it about this experience that you will remember forever?
this is so all encompassing.
Yeah.
But when you're welcomed and valued and cherished in a world like this, it's life changing. Um, I think being a part of this series is an honor, but it, on a deeper level, it said so much to me about who I am and what I bring to the table. Um, and you know, you're not always sure of that in life, especially as an actor. You're flitting between many different kinds of personalities and roles, and to spend an extended period of time as this very strong, forceful, powerful woman, it's really hard not to come away with some of that embedded in you.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for me personally, I needed that. So it left its mark on me in that way. But there's just something about being a part of a world that is also cherished by viewers, because not every show that you work on is going to have this level of goodwill or fan investment or people that understand the lingo. Like I love every fan that comes on Instagram is like, Cobra Kai never dies. I'm like, that's right. That's right. Like it's cool. It's cool to be part of a world like that everybody's invested in. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, all of your wonderful answers. And I just want to say you should be so proud of your work on this show. You genuinely like, it's not easy, I feel like, especially in such a male-dominated genre and career like karate, just in general, like to be a strong female in that world. And you just killed it from the moment you came on screen. And
Thank you.
for your final
My
scene,
reaction is this and this, just so you know. And it's
I,
also this.
that is my favorite part of this.
That means so much to me. Thank you for saying that. I just hope that, you know, girls and women love the performance and they love the show and they can, you know, just feel empowered, you know, get in there and kick some ass. Like that's it. That's a Sensei Kim motto. I love it.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life. Comics, movies.